Super Variation 952 says, Unforgiving, what's one thing I'll never forgive in EastEnders? I don't think I'll ever forgive them for ruining Phil and Kat. Absolutely loved them together. Um, and then the first comment, which a lot of people would probably agree with, them offing Pat Butcher when she didn't want to leave permanently. I will just before we start, I want to shout out the Smart Meaning 9274. They put a lovely comment here that I actually want to read out before we start the video properly about the Pat Butcher exit, if you do not mind. They say, Smart Meaning 9274 says, I have to disagree. Pam didn't just want a break, she wanted to leave, then return for possible guest stints in the future. Unfortunately, at her age, there was no guarantee about her health, and a character as iconic as Pat deserved a proper send off. Having a situation like Dot or many Corey characters where the actor leaves then passes, and the character is passed off screen, just isn't befitting of an iconic character if it can be avoided. There was also no guarantee that all the relevant characters would still be around or available in the future for Pat's send off. Ricky, Bianca, Janine, and Carol were all there, and they got David and Wixie back. The alternative was Pat going to New Zealand to live with Simon and popping back for a visit every couple of years. And after Patsy and Sid and Charlie Brooks all left, who would Pat realistically come back to visit? Would the actors agree to return from Pat's funeral if they decided to wait till Pam passed in real life to kill the character off? As much as it's an unpopular choice, Kirkwood killing Pat off when he did meant that she got the best send off possible, and ultimately allowed her to remain unscathed by the terrible producers who came afterwards, SOC and John Sen. Um, that's a pretty good
There is a
take.
lot to dig into. It's a pretty interesting one that because obviously Pat's death is one of the most controversial decisions in soap history.
Well,
Um,
until Martin passed.
it is arguably one of the most controversial because you take a legend in Pam St. Clement. You have Pat, who was there. Didn't she even arrive in 85? She was originally supposed to be in 86, but she had to come in early. So I think she comes in September, roughly. Could be wrong.
I think she just comes in '86. I don't really know. I haven't really.
Early Simon Wicks comes in. Yeah, she came in 86. Yeah, because yeah, there we are. Simon Wicks comes in like September 95 or 85, and then yeah. Okay, fair enough. Got. I got my kids mixed up. But point being, she was a legend. Spent so much time on the show. She was. What did she ever really take any major breaks from the show?
She
No, not really. She was pretty much there throughout. And I think it's a fairly kind of she was there. She was there for what 86 to 2012. That's a good what, like 26 years.
yeah.
So she'd done a stint. She'd done a rightful stint. And I can understand why people are so resistant to it is because she is such an iconic character. And I think the one bit I mainly disagree with with that comment is she didn't get the exit she deserved. That's my problem. Because she dies in about 3 months. You go, oh, she's got cancer. Oh, and she's dead by Christmas, by what, New Year's Day, Christmas
Yeah,
Eve.
yeah, New Year's Day.
So it's such an accelerated schedule as to how quickly she was written out. So instead of it being what she would have deserved to be like a fairly hefty, like maybe she didn't want to do another year, but like as we said before, these characters deserve as much time as you can free up for them. And it doesn't matter how you do it. You don't need Pat doing scenes every day for 4 weeks, doing 16 hours a day. That's not how you treat the legends of your show. You just, hey, here's a day, film all your scenes, get it done, you know, chill the fuck out. But it's more so the fact that everybody's so upset with Pat being killed off was because it happened so unbelievably quickly. Like, I don't remember the exact timeline, but from when it said you have cancer and it's terminal to being dead, I would argue it's I'd say about 3 months, if that. So that's where the main thing is. And like the issue with Pat is I don't think you can't destroy Pat as a character at this point. It's like Peggy, it's like Dot. You can't destroy him as a character. They're too well established. Like, yeah, sure, you can do it to characters like Ian, but you know, like Ian's been there from the start, but Ian's shown many different faces since the beginning. But with characters like Pat, Dot, Peggy, these have been so consistent the entire time they've been there. Well, with the exception of Dot in '85, where she was a massive cow. But apart from that, they have been so unbelievably consistent, and people look at them like they are their nan. They look at them like they are their family because you've seen them for years. So you can't really destroy the character. And I think, like, yeah, sure, you do argue, but like, I would, I would suggest that, like, yeah, sure, the butchers were a dying breed. That is also true because at this point you only really have Janine, you have Ricky, and the Wicks part of the butcher, like, kind of side. They're not really there either. So I do agree that you don't really have the family there for, but you just build up the relationship with Whitney a little bit. You can have kind of Pat become a surrogate Mitchell as she kind of not assumes the role of Peggy, but like she's so versatile that she doesn't always necessarily need a massive family around her. She can just exist by herself. It's like you take the example of Yolanda and Patrick. Like, yeah, Yolanda and Patrick are pretty established, and for the most part, most of their best scenes are just them by themselves. Yeah, sure, there is the family around them, but they're mostly just potting her on doing their own shit.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
think fundamentally, you would be able to get the characters back for Pat's death, but the whole point of this is if it was a long-term exit, fundamentally, we're gonna bring back all of these big characters for a good year. We're gonna bring them all back. We're gonna have the sad Pat storyline. Because all you have to do is say Pat's ill and she's dying. And we don't know how long she has left. Boom, all the characters are back if they've not already left, or if they're not already signed up. So yeah, I don't know. Like, I do agree, but I don't think, because we don't entirely know, because Pam St. Clement has not really talked about the exit, and the EastEnders producers keep fucking stum about this sort of stuff. I think if she wanted guest stints, I think that's a perfectly reasonable suggestion. You know what I mean? She's done 26 years, guys. 26 years of service, of being a consistently huge piece, of there being multiple iterations of iconic Pat moments, whether it's her stuff with Janine, whether it's her stuff with Frank, whether it's the stuff with Peggy, whether it's even the latest stuff with Ricky and Bianca. Pat has had so many relevant faces across her time. I think it would have been pretty reasonable for her to say, "Oh yeah, I just want to take a step back, guys. I don't really want to be doing this for another 5 years. Maybe just let me pop in and out for a little bit, and then we do those scenes, and then you go from there." It's just, yeah, I like the argument, but at the end of the day, it still was done in a pretty shit, callous way for how long she was there for. And I think those are the plot lines that really stick out, right? Those are the ones that are the most contentious decisions. And hey, to be fair, maybe I'll do one of my Was It Worth It's on Pat Butcher's death at this point in time. That's always a topic. The Ronnie and Roxy death. It's just, if they've had such a tenure and they've been there so consistently for so long, the answer to kill them off is such a weird decision. And it's like Dot as well. We say this a lot for Dot, and I don't really want to spend 10 hours getting into the minutiae of the Dot exit. But the way it seems, and the way it was kind of told by John Altman, who read like a letter from June Brown, who kind of said, "This is why I'm leaving." She wrote a little piece about saying, essentially, and it kind of came down to him saying, like, June Brown believed that they weren't going to give her the storyline she wanted anymore. And essentially with the angle of, you don't become an actor to say a catchphrase and just sit there and say nothing. Like, you still want to be yeah, sure, you're not going to be like a leading lady anymore, but that's not really what Dot would have wanted. She just wanted something of any substance to actually do what she loves, and that was be an actor. And so she left in 2020, which, probably I think it was 2020, probably the right time necessarily, after everything that went down. It's probably a forced exit along with everything else on top. But it's just they then kind of gave Dot such a big over funeral, but you didn't do it when she was alive.
It
That's another kicker.
it's also just on Dot. I'll do Pat in a second, but on Dot, the problem is Dot's funeral should have been a big moment, even if the character physically cannot come back, because ultimately, if you don't know, June Brown did pass in 2022, which would lead them to killing her off screen, because you can't really, fucking recast June Brown as Dot. You just can't. Um, so ultimately, they had to like kind of shove in a funeral into it, but it wasn't as big. Like the ideal thing for me on how you do Dot's exit is you have all of the people who influenced her or influence. I don't know how to say the word. Who basic,
Influence.
yeah, influence. That like Fat Boy. I know that's a one everyone can laugh at. Stewart, and so forth. And then one of the final scenes. I don't know how you do it because you have to try and make it not about religion, but do make it about religion in the same sense. But you have her see her son Nick, and the reuniting of them at the end, where I don't know how to purposely say without getting into religion bollocks, but like the but like the thing you end it with is like she dies, and what we hear, well, we're in her mind, and the last thing we hear is "Hello, ma," or "Nice to see
Yeah,
you,
the
ma."
perfect kind of, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly, something like that. The perfect, like, because you have to have Nick and Dot there in the end anyway. It's the duty of care, in my opinion. That's the ones that really like upset the audience. It's when we feel like we've been robbed, and that's what I feel like we were robbed with Pat, because we didn't really get to spend any time kind of grieving before it happened. You just go, oh shit, Pat's dying. Oh, what the fuck? Oh, she's dead. Oh, well, that fucking sucks. But like, it's given room to breathe, and then the week after, it's just about, I don't know, David Wicks sticking around because he's with Carol again. Like, yeah, great. Um, and then with Dot, it's the fact that she didn't actually get to have any substantial scenes when she like properly, because it was kind of the last real acting of substance she did was the Doctor Leg storyline, which is a storyline she should have had herself. And maybe June Brown didn't want to be killed off. We can't know that. We can't understand that. Like, it's all, and nobody's ever going to talk about it. So it's ultimately all speculation. But like, she still proved that she had a really, and this, she made people give a shit about Dr. Leg. Some people never saw him. Some people never saw Dr. Leg whatsoever, and people were sad about his death, despite him being a fairly insignificant recurring character over the years. So, yeah, it's just crazy. Then you have the Ronnie and Roxy, of course. Like, I mean, they were two of the biggest characters on screens for 10 years. They were two of the largest characters on screen for 10 years, and I've always kind of said this, and we depicted this in the Iceberg, I'm pretty sure. But essentially going, hey, new producer, I think Ronnie's gotten really, really, really depressing. I think it's all gone too far. I agree. You killed off. What? What? No, no. I want to stay. Well, we've already written the scripts now, so get in that pool, love. Like, fucking come on, guy. Like, even Abby as well. It was just during the 2010s. They just loved that fucking kill switch. Oh, you want to leave? Boom, dead. Great, cheers. Oh, another death. Another death coming way. There we go. Oh, Pat's gone. Oh, there we are.
Stephen.
I think it's also the difference. The difference you have is also you did have Peggy's really, really dramatic. The Peggy exit was what we want for all the others, guys. because Peggy's exit was great and it didn't take too long. She wasn't back for that long, but it was I mean, I'm not entirely certain, but let me just get the general time frame of how long Peggy was actually back for when she returned. Like, because she would have the little guest stints in and out, but once again, this is what Pat could have done, guys. This is what Pat could have fucking done. But they didn't do that, and they decided. But then, yeah, she returns in February 2015. And she shows up, and then she kind of sees everyone. It's like, oh, hey, Mick tells her to get out of his pub, Then she returns in 2016, where it's revealed that she has cancer. Then she seemingly disappears until May, where she's told that she has terminal cancer. And then over the next couple weeks, she just exists, and then obviously she dies. And then we have the funeral by July. So ultimately, she probably only did what, like 15, 20 episodes, roughly? And this is exactly what we kind of wanted for all these other characters. It's not to say that you bring back June Brown for a full-on year and you go, we're going to be having you do 15-hour days every single day. We go, look, let's stock out. It's like Chris Crenshaw effect, right? Stevie Mitchell was one of the best newcomers in years. He was only there 20 episodes, and by the time he left, pretty much everybody's like, oh man, I wish he would stay. I wish he would stay. And he probably only did all his scenes in about, what, 2 weeks? Like, he only did like 20 episodes worth. So once again, that's just the general issue, in my opinion. It's when you rob the viewers of something that should be so beautiful and so dramatic and so perfect, and you just ruin that chance to ever see it again. And so many, like, yeah, sure, you could argue, yeah, sure, it probably was a good time to kill off Pat. I'm not going to disagree with that, because Pat was getting on. Obviously, Pam St. Clement seems like she's in good health at this point to this day. So she probably could still have been around for another 5 to 10 years. If she wanted to be, of course. And, June Brown, you did have her 2 years before she died. Like, so you were already kind of pushing the boat out, a little bit worried about her health. And yeah, sure, her health was getting worse. But, they just didn't get the Peggy exit. And yeah, sure, you don't want to make it a staple suggesting that all of these like older characters are going to get this really long-winded thing. But it's also like, it's the Coronation Street problem, where you have some characters in Coronation Street who just die because the actors just die. And you never actually get to see that true ending. You just get the kind of shock of going, oh shit, the actress or the actor died in real life. I guess we just have to say that they passed away and have everybody be sad. And that's not what you want. And that was why, despite Dot Brannon's funeral being there was some decent episodes. It just felt a little bit. It was just hard to forget the context that led us here, that she left because they weren't giving her anything substantial to do. And then they act like it was a really big deal despite her being gone. Like, you had the opportunity to do something with her and respect the legacy, respect the history that she's established, and respect all of the years of service she's done. But no, instead, when she dies in real life, you just go, hey, here's a funeral. Look at how sad it is. We love you, June Brown. Don't forget about the fact that she left because you treated her like absolute garbage.
Yeah, and I feel like I've nothing more to say. No, yeah. I we will see you in the next one. Bye bye. Bye bye.